Donc je bouge pas. All right. Showtime. I hope you are all having a nice Odoo experience. I am Luc Nellis and I will talk today about Odoo Studio. So the goal of this talk is to show you the potential of Studio as a tool, and just so you have a bit more information about me, I work as a product owner in R&D, but before that I worked as a functional consultant. So most of what you see here is based on what I did as a functional consultant or learned, but I don't have any developer background or technical background. I have a business and marketing background, so really that's the focus of this talk, is to keep it business oriented, and I'm not allowed to type any code at all because that's not the focus here, okay? So just as a small introduction, the goal of this talk will be not to give you all the answers for the specific customization you have in mind right now, rather to give you a general understanding on how Studio does, what it does not, how it works, so that when it will be your turn to play around with the tool, you will be around to easily navigate and do what you want to achieve for your own business, okay? So I won't show all the features because it will be really long if I have endless lists. Instead of that, what we'll do is we will use use case. So we will create an app from scratch with real guidelines, and with that you'll be able to see a bit how the different tools work and the things we can do. So if you're new to Odoo or Odoo Studio, a brief introduction to the tool itself. So Odoo Studio is an application that you install on your own database, okay? But contrarily to other apps, the goal of this app is to help you customize your own database. So it helps you to work on other database, for example, because you have really specific information you wish to gather on your database, and it does not exist yet. You know that at Odoo we try to keep the different screens as clean as possible with as little fields as possible. So that means that, for example, if you're in the paint industry, you may want, for example, to have a field favorite color on the customer. But of course we can't put that for the standard code because not all businesses need this information. So for those kind of information that you wish to catch, Odoo Studio is the perfect tool, okay? So you can work on fields and models, for example. You can also play around with the interface. That's what we will do. So build the different screens that as a user, as an employee, people will be able to use on your production database to work on their day-to-day basis, okay? We can also work on reports. So reports are the different PDF documents that you will send to your customer, for example, a sale order, an invoice. We have the basic standard template, but you may want to customize it a bit so that there's a little touch of what your company stands for, etc. And then you have also some automation. So Studio is not the tool that will entirely replace your developer. You won't be able to create really deep and intense business logic, but some real flows and automations that will make your life easier as a user and make you win some time here and there because the encoding is easier and some automation are made for you, okay? But the best thing about the tool really is that no programming knowledge is required, which means that as a small business owner, as a consultant, whatever, without any technical background, you can yourself take that hand in hand and do everything on your own with the knowledge that you have of your own business, okay? So the use case here is that we are working for an NGO that rescues animals, okay? So an animal shelter, and the reason for which they decided to go for Odoo, basically what they do is they collect, they take care of the animals, and then they release them, okay? And they have a lot of interaction, for example, with sponsors to get the different files they need, and they have different employees that work with different roles. Some are responsible for picking up the animals, others to take care of the animals, others are, for example, working in IT, etc. Okay, and the reason for which they decided to go for Odoo is that beforehand they were doing everything with spreadsheets, and you know how tedious it becomes to be when you have a lot of data to manage, right? So they really need a clear overview when they can assign people and see clearly what's on their database, and also centralize information in a system rather than having a lot of Excel spreadsheets, so that worldwide all collaborators can log in and play around with the different information they have to encode. Okay, so you have a look at all the different apps that are available online, and you search for an application dedicated to animal shelter management, and you don't really find one, right? Because at Odoo we don't have an application just for that. Or is it, right? Because maybe we can do that. So instead of showing you slides now, we'll go straight to a database. Okay, that's a database with only 3 things installed. I have contacts, because this is really basic, right? The different people I work with, etc. I have employees, so people that work here, and that's it. You see, I don't have any app to have specific flows or anything. I'm starting really from scratch with Studio. Okay, so let's really get started and start building our app. So the first thing we'll do is just get into Studio mode with this logo here. Okay, when you have this black background, black screens, it means we are in Studio mode. Okay, and let's start building on a new app. So here I go through the different steps, and the interface asks me to give a name. Okay, so we call it shelter, for example. Here I could design an icon with the different images and colors. Let's rather upload a picture. It will be way nicer. Here you go. I go to the next page, and here Odoo asks me, okay, you're building an app. What's the goal of this app? What do you want to manage? Is it sale order, an invoice, a contact? Here I say, well, the main thing I will want to manage are animals. Okay? So I just get going. And here I am. So just like that, I created all the technical parts needed to have an app. So far I can't do much with it, but you see I have a menu item with the picture I chose, and if I click, I am in the Odoo menu. Alright? So now let's create a first animal. So we will create Mark, and we get started. So again, Studio mode, and here we will start to populate the form view. Okay, so I have guidelines over here that I will go through of all the things they need to encode. Okay, and we'll do that together. So the first thing they want to be able to do is to be able to, for example, store the nickname of the animal, because they really love their animals, they have nicknames for them, and they want to be able to have that in the system. So you see, I'm starting from scratch. So nobody thought at Odoo R&D to create a nickname field for the model I just created. But that's fine. I can do it myself. And I will just create a new text field, right? So what I do is I click on it, I drop it here. That's it. So the label of this field will be nickname. That's it. And here I'm creating a field. Now what they will also like to have is, for example, a picture of the animal. So again, I take a picture here, image, hop, I drop it there, and I call it, for example, profile picture. And I will say I want, for example, a medium image. So you see, no code required. Now, something else they would like to get, for example, is the birth date. So for this, I will select another field type. I will ask a date. So I just drop it there. The field is created, and I keep going, right? Birth date. And what they also like to have is, for example, a description of the animal, where it comes from, etc. So for this, I won't take a text field. I want users to be able to create a nice text and go with line breaks. So I will take a text with multiple lines, and I drop it below the profile picture, okay? And we'll call that the bio of the animal. Now I leave Studio, and I go back to the interface that I will have as a user, and let's have a look at what happens when I just put a few values here. So it's Marky, he's born, for example, there. Let's upload this picture. So it's a dog, young dog we rescued. Okay, so we start like this. Now, of course, that's only the beginning because they want to store other information on those animals. So, for example, we have the gender. So for the gender, I don't want a text field because some people will say male or female, some will say M or F, etc. So what I do is I create a selection field, right? So a field for which users will be able to select one of the values I plan for them. So we'll have female, we'll have male, and maybe do not want to tell, because some animals really want us to respect their privacy. And we keep going like this. So here, that's the gender. Okay, so I'm creating yet another field, and the issue is that, for example, here, I don't really like the way it looks here, so now we'll do something a level further, and we'll play with widgets. So widget is something you can put on top of a field to change the way it behaves and looks like. For example, here you see widgets selection. I don't really like it. Let's go for radio buttons. It's way better for the user. So you see here, I can say male. That's it. All right, so we keep going, and we have a lot of other fields. For example, the date, the birth date, we have it. Maybe let's add another easy one. We want to store the weight of the animal, and we want to have a decimal number. Same story, I drop the field, I change the label, and I keep going, okay? So those are all easy fields, right? Because I'm just, let me remove that. So those are fields that are really basic because it's inputs from either text or checkbox, etc. Let's do something a bit more interesting. They want to, for example, be able to upload a PDF that they received regarding this animal, sort of the passport, for example. So I go back into studio mode, and I want to play a bit with this view because it's starting to get messy, so I will add tabs. I just drop the tabs, and let's have a tab for medical information, and one for example, documents. Because I don't want to have the document straight away on the main view, because we don't really use it a lot, but when it's needed, I want it to be available quickly. So here, I'm still looking for a field, and I will say, I want to upload a file, right? So I take the file field, I drop it there, and I call it, for example, PDF passport. And since I know people will upload a PDF here, I choose the widget PDF viewer. Here I am. So now, if I go and upload a file, let's take a sample PDF here. You see that I don't need to download it all the time. If I just need to check something on his passport, I have the viewer here, and I can have it easily. But since you see it takes a lot of space, most of the time I will be on this tab, and it won't bother me at all, okay? Now, let's work a bit on the medical file of this animal, and we want to know, for example, has the animal been vaccinated yet? So for this, we create a checkbox, right? There's two possible answers, no and yes. So, vaccinated, and I will let the user check that box, okay? So let's say, for example, that this dog has been vaccinated. Now, we can have a lot of different things we can play around with. For example, we could add, for example, the diet. So for this, we'll add a selection. So we'll have, for example, carnivorous, herbivorous, omnivorous. Okay, and for that, we will call that diet. You see here I did a small typo, no issue with that. I can just correct it, let the system save my change, and that's it. Okay, so now on the medical file, I will need to have a bit more information. I want to know which treatment the animal already received or not, okay? And as you guess, treatments do not really exist in Odoo, right? It's really specific to what we're doing here. So we had our first object model, right, the animal. Let's create another menu with another thing we would like to manage. back into studio mode, you see we have a button here, edit menu. So let's do that and create a new menu, and we'll call that treatments, okay? And here Odoo asks me what we are supposed to see when we click there, right? Do we want to see employees, job positions, contacts? I will say no. What I want to see there are treatments. And since it does not exist, let's create it. Now, if I go check my treatments, you see I don't have any yet. And for the treatments, I want this menu to be super easy. All we need to have, for example, is a list of treatments. And we want users to be able to encode them easily. So we go into studio mode, and under view, I say, well, when I create new record, keep them at the bottom. I don't need a pop-up or a form view. All I need to encode is the name, okay? So I say new record at the bottom. And to show you the difference, if I'm here and I create an animal, I get redirected to the form view, right? Because there's a few information I need to encode here. But for the treatments, when I try to create one, I can do it from here, okay? So we have the parvovirus, enter, we have the distemper virus, and we have the adenovirus. That's it. So you see I don't need a form just to encode this name, but now those exist in my system. So now, when I'm on the animal form view, I would like to be able to reference all the treatments the animal already received. And as you saw, the names are not really easy to type, so I want something where my users cannot make mistake, okay? So let's do just that. We go into studio mode, and we'll create a field. But here, what we want to do is not a field where user creates input from text or a checkbox. We want to create relations between the different records of my database, okay? So here, for example, we will take a many to many, okay? Because we want to allow animals to receive multiple treatments, and a treatment can be received by multiple animals, okay? So we add this here. And here Odoo tells me, all right, you're trying to create a relation here. What is the relation about? It's animal plus, and I'm going to tell him, animal plus treatments. And then by default, I have this table here that I don't really like. So let's add a widget, tags. So you see now, if I try to edit, I can add the records I just created, okay? So I can create relationships between my different records. Now, the issue is that if I, for example, make a typo, I could create treatments that we don't really have, right? So let's make an interface a bit smarter, and we'll ask Odoo for this field, so I'll click on it. For example, we will say, let's use colors, so that when we have tags there, we can see, for example, that those are regrouped in families, and it's clear to the user to see if there's a mistake, right? So that's an example of the things we can do. Now, let's keep populating this form view. We want to have, for example, a bit more information that is, for example, staff. So information related to our staff, and later on we will work with the sponsors. So here, again, let's create a relationship so that we can know who is the veterinarian responsible for this animal. So we'll create a field that is a many-to-one, because many animals can be managed by the same person, the same employee. Again, okay, you're trying to create a relationship between animals and what? Well, and employees. And here I can say vet in charge. Again, I'm pretty happy with what I have here, because now you see those people are the employees I have registered in my company, okay? The issue is, if we have a look at the employee app, I have 4 employees, but I am the database admin. We have the lead vet, and a truck driver. And we don't want to have people allowing the truck driver to be responsible of the animals, right? Not in that field, at least. So we go back to the app and we do something a bit smarter again in the interface. We add what is called a domain. So a domain, you have to see it as a filter. That's all it is. So I click on here and I say, okay, when you load the list of employees I'm supposed to see here, make sure that their position, their job position, okay, contains vet, because if it's a truck driver, I shouldn't be able to see that. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Now I have just Andrew and Joey, right? So if I go back here, that's what I wanted, because those both persons are the lead vet and the vet, okay? So just with that, I'm excluding the fake results that would be those. But I still have an issue, because if I go here and I say Nathan, people can create new records. And I don't have colors, so I don't really like it. So let's do something different here. And with Studio, we will ask, please disable the creation through this field. So if someone types a name that does not exist, do not offer him to create a new employee. That's wrong. You're not supposed to create an employee. So I say, okay, disable the creation from here. And now, if I'm typing a name that we don't have in the system, you see that I'm not offered to create something new. I'm stuck here, and I should double check what I was trying to do. Okay, so again, just playing around with the tool, we are building an interface that is smarter and smarter. Let's do the same for the sponsors. So for the sponsors, we want to be allowed to know who is actually supporting this animal and paying for all the care that is needed. Again, we will add a many to one over here, but this time towards contacts, because that's where we register our sponsors. And we will call it main sponsor, for example. So if I test the field, I can see that here, those are my contacts, okay? So Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, that's correct, they're sponsors. But I'm here in the system and my food supplier is as well. That's not correct. So let's go to the contact app and see how we could easily flag them, okay? So that we know who is a sponsor or not. That's something that's really specific to my business, right? So there's not a field that exists to say that. So no worries with that. That's an existing standard model, and I will customize it a bit. So I will say, well, there's two possible answers. You are a sponsor or you are not one. So a simple checkbox will do the trick. Let's drop one, and we'll call that checkbox is a sponsor. Here we go. Which means that now, for example, I can say this person is a sponsor and Angelina Jolie is a sponsor, okay? The others, by default, are not. Now, if I go back to the animal app we are creating, I will be able to now apply a filter based on what I just did on the contacts. So on the sponsor, I will add a domain. I will disable creation as well, because you're not supposed to create a sponsor, and I will add a domain. Not a domain based on fields that are existing, but rather based on what I created. So is a sponsor. It needs to be true for the contact to be displayed in that list, okay? We let the system save, and here you see that the only persons there are my real sponsors, and I cannot create new records if I make a typo, okay? So again, making the system smarter. Let's do another field. So they would like to know, because they have visitors coming in, the feeding time of the animal. Okay, so at which time is there a public feeding time where they can see the animal eating, etc., because people love that. Now let's check the fields that I have available. I don't have anything actually to just store the time, right? I have daytime, but that's a date plus a time, and hopefully we feed them at least once a day, right? So for that, what I will do is add a decimal field, which is here. We'll call that feeding time. Here we go. and we'll add, again, a widget. Not the widget decimal. I'm not interested of seeing a number with a decimal. What I want to see is a time. And if I check here, I can say, well, it's every day at 9:30 that people can come in and see Mark eating, okay? So the field was not existing per se, but by adding a widget, I'm able to do it, okay? And to store that information in a way the user can understand. Let's see what else could be interesting. Yeah, that's really nice because, okay, I'm starting to have a form, but on the other hand, this is not really an application, right? Because all I have here is a form. So let's bring it a level further, still with Studio, by doing first, let's add a pipeline status bar, okay? So if I click here, I will be able to add my status. So I will say not arrived yet for the animals that are not here, but we know they're coming. We'll have here at the shelter. And we'll have here released. So they came and they left because we had done our job. I click confirm here, and you see here I have the status bar as I would have in my CRM, for example. Which means I'm starting to get something that looks like an app with the idea of a flow where you start from here and you go through the different steps, okay? Now, let's keep going. Still with Studio, we'll add a chatter, right? Where we can communicate with the audience, keep notes, etc. So I just click here, add chatter widget, and here I am. So now it does look a lot more like an application because I could put some notes, really nice dog, or I could also create activities, right? So I can't forget to, I have this thing I have to do is to prepare his new home. So I can schedule that, and it's fully integrated in the system with all the different activities. And the system that we have here, you see, the system knows I have an activity for a custom model I just created with you. Okay? Now, we added the vet in charge, but sometimes when they have an emergency, they need to know as fast as possible the phone number they can use, okay, to get help. So what we will do now is what we call a related field. So we're going to use the relationship we created between the animal and the vet to bring back an information stored on the employee towards this form here, okay? So I'll create a related field and I'll show you how it goes. So here I have to give the path to Odoo he will have to follow to bring back the information I want him to bring. Okay, so I say, well, start from the animal, go check the vet in charge, and bring back his work phone. And we'll call that emergency. Emergency number, okay? Now, let's see how it reacts. So if I assign, for example, Andrew, and I go on his form, and I add something in his work phone, let's say that. Now, when I'm back on the animal, you see that the phone number is here. So I don't have to type it twice, I don't have to encode things multiple times. Through the relationship I'm creating through the different models and records, everything is displayed whenever needed, okay? Let's create another animal. So that will be a monkey. Here we go. That's a male. And here I'm a bit annoyed because Joey is in charge, right? Because they had the same name. And I'm a bit bothered because I have the field here, even though there's nothing to show. So that's a bit distracting. So let's keep customizing with something new. Let's use attributes. So I will ask Odoo to have the field invisible, but not all the time. I could just hide it, but that's not what I want to do. What I want is to hide it based on a condition, which is the following. Hide this field if the field itself is not set. So if the field is empty, don't display that. I don't need it, okay? And you see, for this animal, I don't have it, but for the other one, it's still there. Okay, so with the different attributes, you can build a smart interface that reacts based on the condition you define yourself. Let's see what else we could do. Yeah, so when the animal is released, we would like to know where he has been released. So again, let's do the same flow. We'll create a many-to-many because an animal has different countries it could be released in, and a country can receive multiple animals. Okay, so that would be, for example, toward countries. That's a model that exists, so I can reuse it, and I will call that possible destinations with the field many-to-many. Not with this table, I don't really need that. I'd rather have tags because it's nicer and lighter in my interface. So for example, Mark could be released in Belgium or France, okay? And now when the animal is released, we need to know in which exact country he is. And here it means the animal can be in a single country at once. So here, many to one. I go here and I select country. And I say released in. Again, I don't want people creating new countries from here. If there's a country missing, they should ask the administrator to do it. So I disable creation. But again, I have a field that's showed with in a moment where it's not supposed to, so let's make it invisible based on a condition. So invisible if the status is different, so it's not equal to released. So if I'm not in released, keep that invisible. And you see the field disappears. Now if I go to the stage released, the field is there because I need it. But if the animal is at the shelter, I'm not supposed to be able to say where he has been released. Okay, so I'm building a flow with an interface that reacts so that the user can know what he has to do at every moment. Okay, so now I have this list and I feel like it's not really clear, right? It's not looking really nice. So now I'll work a bit on my list view. Again, studio mode. And here, what I want to display here are not new fields, right? I've created all the fields I need so far, so let's reuse existing fields. And for example, we want to have the nickname. I just take it there and I drop it here, for example. I want to know who is the vet in charge, quickly in the list. I want to know the gender of the animal. And just like that, it looks way clearer, right? I could also add, for example, the phone number so that I can quickly get that information. So what emergency number? Here I am. And you see that now this view looks like something already workable. Now, what I would like to have also is a Kanban view, right? Like in the CRM. So I say studio mode, views, and I will activate the Kanban view. More than that, I want to have it as the default view, okay? So why do I want that? Because when I enter into this app, that's what I would like to see. So let's work a bit on that view. I will group by the status so that I know straight away from here this animal is not arrived yet. This one is at the shelter. If I want to quickly modify this status, I can just drag and drop the animal in a new stage. Okay. Now let's work a bit again with this view, just adding a few things. We had call that profile picture. Let's add first the nickname. So we'll want it there. So that's the nickname, and then the profile picture here. By default, I see the weight of the image. I'm not really interested in that. I want to have the image displayed. And I want the image, let's see if I click on it, to be big, because those pictures are nice, and that's easier to manage like this, right? And you see, I can just drag and drop them from a stage to the other. So now we have the Kanban view, at least a basic Kanban view. We have a form view, where we can work with the flow as well, and we have a clear list view, where we can navigate, select all records, etc. Another remark I had was that people were looking for an animal and were typing only the nickname, because that's all they knew about the animal. Issue is, you don't find it if you search with that. So now let's work on this quick search. So again, Studio Mode, Views, Search, and here I am able to customize everything that's available in what we call the search view. So for example, the nickname, I'll put that in auto-completion field. The vet in charge, I will put that in the default group bys. What else? The genders could be interesting as well here. And here you see that, for example, when I'm now looking for an animal, if I type the nickname, I can, since I know that's a nickname, I can search in the nicknames and find what I'm looking for, okay? If I'm in the list here, I can, for example, group by vet in charge, right? So I can easily see all the animals regrouped by employee. Again, I could also regroup them by gender so that I have a clear overview, okay? Now, I have another remark from the NGO, is that they need to be able to provide some reporting on the animals they received, where they're at, etc. So for that, I will go back to the view, and I will add a pivot view, okay? So just like that. And you see that now I have the Kanban, the list, and the pivot view, where I can play around with the different fields. So the different diets, or the different genders, and then the different names, etc., etc. So I can play around a bit with all the values that I just created, and when I'm happy with the reporting I have, I can just click here and download an Excel file of this copy, okay? If I'm in a rush and I just need a copy and paste on what I see here, I can just click on Export All, and I get an exact copy and paste, okay? So you see here the fields I have, so name, gender, nickname, vet in charge. So it's just as if I had done a copy and paste. And more, it's starting to look like an application people will be able to use every day. Now, something that's not really convenient, though, is that whenever I need to create a new sponsor, I need to leave here, go into contact, and do something here. I don't want that. So instead, I will add new menus here. So I will edit the menu. I don't really need treatments, so I'll create first a menu called Settings, and I will be able to nest the treatments below that. Then I will have a menu called Sponsors for the contacts, just like this, and one for employees, or rather that's just for the vets, and we'll take the employees. Again, drag and dropping. Here I am. So now, treatments are hidden here. In the day-to-day operation, I don't need that. But I have a shortcut towards sponsors and vets. But that's not entirely correct, right? Because I still see the other contacts. So what I will do is simply add a filter here. Is a sponsor, needs to be true. And I will say I want it by default, okay? Same thing for the vets here. Let's say we only want those that have a job position that contains vet. And I want it by default. So now, if I'm having a look at the animals, I can switch to the sponsors and to the vets quite easily with just a click, okay? Without having to leave the application we're building. Let's see what else we could do. Well, we are just building the application, but we need also to think about the different level of access we will give the users. So for that, same idea, I will go into Studio Mode, and here I will go on Access Control. So you see by default, Odoo has created two access rules for me. As the admin, I can do whatever I want. I can read the animals, write on them, create and delete. For my basic employees, I will need to have them be able to read, right, to have access to the information, but they will also need to modify some animals, right, so we'll give them the write access and the create access. We won't give them the delete access because we want to keep that as a admin right, and so if they need to delete something because really there's a mistake, they should ask the admin, okay? Now, I would like to get another information on this form is have the information of who created this animal. And that's actually a field Odoo created for me straight away. So if I look for created by, I have a field created by default on each model and filled in by Odoo, and you see here, created by, it's me, right? I just created this animal. If another user logs in and creates other animals, he will have his name over there, okay? So a bit of access and security rights. Now let's do something else. We have an animal over here that has not been vaccinated, okay? And it needs to receive a treatment. Now the thing is, whenever a vet does a treatment for an animal, by default, if the animal has not been vaccinated, they do it as well at the same time. But since users forget to encode this, I will add an automation so that it's done by default by the system, okay? Same ID, studio mode, automation, and I will create, for example, a new automated action, okay? You see here, no, I'm not expected to write code, so I can say, for example, treatment equals vaccinated. Okay, the trigger is based on an update. So it's when I save that I need to be able or not to trigger this automation. And so what I say is, if the animal had no treatment, so the field treatment was not set, so empty, and after my operation of saving, the treatment is set, so which means at least one value was referenced, then I need to trigger this action, and what the action will do is, in the field vaccinated, it will write the value true. So here I close this, and you'll see now, let's just reload just to be sure everything's there. The field here is empty. What I do is I say I did this, and when I save, there's a value we got wrong here. On update, let's see. Update the record. Because I had a treatment, probably. Let's see. So here I'm in false, and when I reference values here, let's see.
I think the domain doesn't work.
Yeah, I think I have a condition that's not triggered because of my domain. Let's have a look. So here they have treatments. Let's have a look what happens when I remove. If he appears in the records that are eligible for that. Let's check. Automations. So here it should be. Well, anyway, you get the idea. Let's create another activity so that you can know the other things we can do. So released equals tweet. So when an animal gets released, I need to remember that I have to tweet something about that because we get coverage, etc. So again, based on update, if an animal is in the status released, what I will want to do is to create a new activity. Let's do it for myself. So I say specific user Luc will have an activity called to do, and it will be tweet. Okay, let's see how it goes. If I put it in released, I have still the same issue with the domain. Anyway, you see the kind of automation we can do. Here I will need to play a bit to see what's happening, but you get the idea. Another thing we could do also would be to work on printable PDF documents. Okay, so we could click here on reports, and we could create from scratch, so from a blank page, a document people will be able to print in PDF. So I click here, and the document I'm trying to create is not really a sale order or an invoice, so I don't want to have something where I have a header with the name of my company, so let's start from a blank page. And here you see I have an interface that looks like what I had on the form view, right, where I can drop fields. So let's do just that, just so that you see a bit how this tool works. First, a title. So that's the animal ID. Then we'll add, let's say, a field over here. Let's put it there. We'll say on the animal profile picture. So that I do have the image, that's a bit too big. So let's limit it to a smaller size. And then what's really interesting is that I can retrieve information stored in my database. So field and labels over here. And I can say, well, what I need to see is, for example, the feeding time. And I need to add the same widget here, so the float time. Now let's add another field again over here. For example, on still the animal, the name, etc., etc. And you see, I can get going, access the information, and when I'm, for example, on here, I can now print the PDF I created, okay, straight away from a model that did not exist without needing to code anything. Of course, it will need a bit more work if I need something that looks really neat, but you see a bit what can be done, okay? So just with that, as you've seen, we've gone through different kind of technical challenges, I would say, that we just created without having to code, okay? We've been able to create the model, create the fields. We can start populating the database. We can have some basic reporting. We have the different menus to make the life of the users easier, etc., etc. Okay, so if we go back to the slides, all those are all my guidelines. We saw automations, etc. So really, I hope I managed to show you that without being a developer, with Odoo Studio, you are able to either work on what exists to make it your own, add the fields you need. You saw we added, for example, is a sponsor on the contact, but also to create your own tool for example, documents or objects that are not planned in the system, because nobody needs that in the system except my company, so I'm creating it myself without being a developer. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have a few questions, I'll stay there for a few minutes. Yeah.
Can you show us how to put a sequence number on the animal? Animal number 1, number 2, number 3.
So we cannot really put a sequence, but what I would display then is the ID, because Odoo as a system needs to know which animal is which, and it's never using the name, right? So without asking me for its own way of working, it uses the ID. So every animal is assigned an ID, and you are sure that those values are unique and cannot be modified by users. So that's the easiest way of having a sequence if you want to be able to reference them easily. Yeah?
We can make modification that way based on an existing module like purchasing.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, you are working with a sales app, and there are a few fields that are missing for your own flow. Typically in the CRM, on the opportunities, you work, for example, with solar panels, and you need more information on the direction the roof is facing, etc. With Studio, you can add that on your production database and have it working on models that existed previously, and of course without changing the flows and all the features that we already have.
It will survive after the updates, version updates.
Yeah, so when you add Studio to your subscription, everything related to migration is included because you're using an Odoo app, so we maintain what you create with that. Yeah.
Is it possible to create reporting cubes using Studio?
Reporting cubes?
Like you go to invoice analysis or something like that?
Something like this? Is that what you mean? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Can you merge another data set from somewhere else into this report?
No. Here, what we have as views, as reporting views, are only based on a single model. But you could, for example, add that to your dashboard somewhere else, for example, because it's still valid data that you're creating. Yeah.
Is there any kind of version control or a log of the changes that you've done, how which one gets out?
So basically, by default, only the admin, of course, has the access to Studio, and we didn't go through that. But what we advise is that you don't do customization on your production database right away. What's the easiest way of doing it is you duplicate your production environment, you do the different change, you make sure people validate that, okay, that's what they need. And then you see when I'm in studio mode, I can easily export the module I created, which means I get a zip file that contains all the last changes I did. And then I go into my production environment and I can import the module so that all the fields, for example, all the work we did here is added at once on my production database. So we don't have really a lot of all operations, but you can yourself plan and schedule and have it a test database and a production database and migrate what is on the test database only once it's validated. Let's just change the background here. Anything else? All right. If you have any other question, you could come to the demo booth. I will be available, or otherwise, I wish you a nice audio experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a very clear, helpful
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you very much.
Very, very good.
2. Ouais, là c'est bon. Enfin, cool. Alors. Ouais. Ok, full screen. Voilà, bon, on va le faire comme ça. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about MyOdoo. MyOdoo, it's a native mobile application. So this presentation will be divided in 5 main points, right? So first, I will briefly introduce you MyOdoo. Next, I will talk to you about a customer case for which we develop a custom application based on MyOdoo. I will present to you the problems encountered by this customer, the solution we have provided for him, and finally conclude this presentation with some advantage of MyOdoo. So let's talk about MyOdoo. MyOdoo app is a native mobile application available on Android and iOS App Store for free. This application is used by more than 70,000 users around the world. This application is community and enterprise version compatible. It has a smart offline mode, allowing you to work without internet connection. And finally, this application is compatible with Odoo from 8 version to 13, I hope, tomorrow, and also support 9 languages. So based on MyOdoo, we are proud to collaborate with partners around the world to create a great mobile application, such as Securitas in Portugal, with a mobile app allowing to manage security interventions, Salon Educ in Belgium, with a mobile app allowing to manage event entries, exhibitors, conferences, WWF, GCE in France with a mobile app allowing to manage plumber company, and so on. So let's take a look of a customization based on MyOdoo and Odoo for a company specialized in visitors, company with consultants in the field. So our customer is one of the largest provider of family planning and of safe abortion product and services. They have around 130 consultants on the road each day. They have around 56,000 visits per year. Finally, they give around 5,000 free samples and sell 10,000 products per year to customers during their visits. And let me present to you the problems they encounter on the field. So here is the problems that our customer encountered. First, each consultant must be able to access the address book in order to allow consultant on the field to get all the information. It can, for example, get the geolocation of the customer, the last visit report, the address phone, the phone number. This information can change and have to be updated, and it was not possible before this app. The second one, next problem is the planning organization, because it leads to a waste of time, because losing valuable travel time. Also, their planning have to be driven by their customer planning, and finally, new visits can be planned during the day. So all this information must be pushed to the consultant when they are on the road. Next, given the nature of the company's activity, it is not warranted that the consultant will always have an internet connection, or it can be interrupted. So we had to provide a solution allowing them to continue to work. Fourth, each consultant has to write a paper sheet which is like a visit report with what has been discussed during the visit, how much time has been spent, what product has been given or sold, and finally, at the end of the week, he have to push all this information to Odoo, re-encode everything that they write on a paper sheet. Finally, related to the previous point, it's really complicated to know exactly and in real time which products have been given or sold, because the consultant is on the road and have to come back at the office and re-encode the information. So let me now talk about you what the solution we give to them. So the solution was needed to take into account the constraints of the customers, of course. That's why we carried out a software development based on Odoo and MyOdoo, of course. About non-functional requirements, each consultant has been equipped with an iOS tablet with a security case. And now each feature I will show you had to be available without internet connection in order to avoid work interruption in case of network issue. So now let me show you the solution in a live demo. So I have to take the right sheet. So let's talk about the main resource of the consultant on the road, the address book. It's really simple in order to be the most efficient for the consultant. So there is not all the information you can have in Odoo, but only the necessary for the consultant visit, such as the tags of the customer, the last visit report, the phone number, the geolocation. Of course, I can search based on several information, such as tags, address, phone number, the name of the contact. It's quite simple. Also, this address book can be displayed on a map. So here, for example, I have 2 contacts on the map because I have only the geolocation for these 2 contacts. And I get also one information just with the map. I can, for example, as you can see, the point is red here because we had a valuable information, which is the last visit report date, right? So here, for example, if the pin is red, that means that my last visit was at least 30 days before. Okay, so I have to revisit them. If the last visit was at least 15 days, the point is orange, and if it's green, that's okay. I don't have to visit him anymore, at least for this moment. And with this map, I can also filter them with some information. So I can click here, and then I have some filters allowing me to reduce the contacts on the map. For example, I can see the last scheduled date for a visit for one of these customers. What was the stock, the product stock I gave to them at the last visit. Also, what contact type is it? Is it a customer, a supplier, or a lead? Okay. So I can filter my list of contacts, and then also from this list I can also create a new visit. So I just have to click on this dialog box. I have to long click, and then I have a form allowing me to create a new report for a new visit, sorry, for this customer. So I have also some information that the consultant has to encode to plan this visit, so it's a visibility visit. The contact, of course, is automatically filled with the geolocation, the country, the area, and I can, of course, select the visit date. I will set it to today. I can also see the last visit report for this contact in particular, and then I save it, and I can now go to the visit part, right? So the address book, and now the visit. So I can go to the visit part here, and here I have such as a calendar view with what I have to visit today, for example. So here I come back to today, and as you can see, I have a new visit for CDS Dantec because I have planned a visit for him today. From this view, of course, I can access to this visit and then encode information, create a new report, or directly also create a new visit from here by selecting a new contact, for example, here, casino, right? All the information is automatically filled. So I can also create a visit from this part. So let's come back to the visit. Here, I select this one. I have, of course, some information that I already showed you before. I can create a new report with this button. And then I can encode all the information that was before a paper sheet. All this information can be encoded without internet connection and then pushed automatically to Odoo. So here, for example, I have the geolocation. If the geolocation is not correct, I can update it on the field. Also, all the information about this customer can be updated on the field without internet connection. Of course, I have some here. I have a to-do list of what the consultant has to ask. So yes, I have a cell, I have a visibility control with new checkbox here. Yes, visibility is high. I can add some product because the consultant can give free samples or sell products. So here, for example, I will add some goodies. I just select one. Don't set the quantity. Here, change the quantity 5, price is 10, and I save it. I can also plan a date for the next visit. Okay, so here it's not necessary. I just have to save, and then the report is created and will be pushed to Odoo further. So the last point in this part is the daily report of the consultant. So here, at the corner, at the top right, I have a button. If I click on it, I have my daily report as a consultant with the goal I have to do today. Here I only have one visit to do, and I'm on 4, so my objective is reached, and so I can pass to the next. I also have a visit, a menu entry for a visit to validate, because I can push my planning to my manager and ask to him to confirm that I can go to this customer. So in this part, I have 2 visits. I can long click on them, up, and I push it to my manager in order to be validated. So it's all for this live demo, and now I come back to the presentation. Where is it? It disappears. So, sorry for the slide, but I will continue. So with this solution, we have some return on investment, of course, because with the better planification, consultants are now able to do more visits, and we estimate this increase to 55%. And of course, with more visits, better organization, come more sales, and then profitability. So to conclude this presentation, I just have to say that mobile apps offer incredible personalization and allow to reinvent user experience, because you can really be focused on a customer case and business of this customer. Mobile apps can work as fast as your business. We can reiterate new version really fast. It can work, as you can see, without internet connection, so it does not interrupt your business. So I invite you to get the power of Odoo in a mobile app. So thank you for your attention, and feel free to ask on our stand if you have some question and if you want a demo of this mobile app or another one. Thank you. Sorry. Yes?
The mobile app, does it work offline?
supposing I want, maybe say with a purchase, I want to store data offline.
Yeah.
How does that work? Would you use another mobile app or?
Yeah, of course. So as I explained before, we have MyOdoo, which is a native mobile application available for free on Android and iOS. In this application, you have 9 modules, such as sales, expenses, stock management, contacts. We don't have yet a module for purchase, but of course, as you can see, we can develop and add new modules to this app or to another one. So not yet, but it's possible, yes. And how it works, simply, yes, as you said, that are loaded in the app, allowing you to work, and then it is pushed automatically to Odoo. So you could, of course, get all your purchase order in the app, work, and synchronize it with Odoo. Yes. Yes.
So let's say if we have customization in the sales order windows,
Yeah.
does it will be rendered in this app?
Not automatically, no. No, because it's a native app, we have to add this feature. Also, you can download the free version of the app. You can test it, and you will see that we were really focused on user experience. So the goal was not to have all the fields, all the models, because it was not necessary when you are in the field. But we can, of course, adjust some personalization if you have it. It's okay. Right. Thank you. C'est passé super vite. And you will see that we were really focused on user experience. So the goal was not to have all the fields, all the models, because it was not necessary when you are in the field. But we can, of course, adjust some personalization if you have it. It's okay. Right. Thank you.
signe quand tu démarres.
Ouais. Comment j'enlève le truc ici? Ok. Et puis,
Sévère, c'est qu'il est on.
ok, je comprends.
Parfait. Tu veux commencer tout de suite ou...
Dans une minute?
Ouais, tu me fais un petit signe et je switch.
Ok. Okay, I think we can start. Can everyone hear me? At the back, it's good? Okay. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Mathieu Weyenberg and I work here for 1.5 years as business analyst at Odoo. I know that's the last day of Odoo experience. I hope you really enjoyed your first days. Today I will present you an important topic and very interesting. It's how to create an awesome website with Odoo. During my presentation, I will go to different steps. The first one is, of course, a little introduction. Why do companies have nowadays a website? Why do they use it? How they built it? What are the advantages? Second thing that I will do, I will a little bit introduce why do they now do in Odoo, and what are the advantages, and what are the benefits for that. And of course, I will do a little demonstration, and we will create a website together. Okay? Why is it so important to have an excellent website today? First of all, this is the first point of contact. This is the first contact that you have with your customers. If you need information about an activity, about the business, about an industry, or about something, what you will do, it's of course you go to Google or to Yahoo or whatever. When you will write this on Google, some statistics, some results will appear. That's why it's also very interesting to have a very good SEO, a good optimization that will lead you to the first result of the page. A good referencing can also influence your statistics, your sales, and of course can attract many customers. Of course, your customers don't know about your activity, but when you will be on the first page, in the first line of Google, or whatever search engine, they will click on your website. An important information that I just read yesterday, it's like more than 92% of all the internet searches worldwide are performed on Google. That's why having a good optimization, a good SEO on Google is very important. It's critical. I think you all know it. A website is available 24 hours on 24, and it's available everywhere, anytime, in any zone of the world. That's why it's important to have a good e-commerce. When you create a website, it has to be attractive, with colors, with images. You have to, all the text that you wrote has to be without any fault. The grammar is also very important. The content has to change all the time, because if the content doesn't change, you will have a lower position in the ranking when Google will perform its cron. It's also one of the easiest and best way to explain all your business. Of course, if you have a beautiful website, if it's attractive, if you have a good referencing, people will go to your website, visitor will click on your link, and they will buy your products. And for me, another thing that I think is like with the e-commerce and all the with the internet, there is a new source of customer. For me, there is two new source of customer. The first one is, of course, when you are, for example, you are based in China. It's a bit in Belgium, and all the people that are away from Belgium, now they can buy your product. They can also have information through the internet, through the e-commerce. Before, those people were not in your country, and it was really impossible for them to buy your product. The second one, it's the e-commerce. That's a new sales channel. Of course, as I just said earlier, the people that they cannot know your company, they don't know what you do. Now they have the possibility to buy your product and you can reach them easily. Now, very important, what are the advantages to do it with Odoo? The first thing is, of course, there are new features every year. Each year we have a new version, we have new improvement, we keep improving the content and we keep improving the website application. Of course, we will go through all the new features in the demonstration, but that's the main point. We have also many different teams. There are 24 teams in Odoo actually. Every year we get a new one, and then it lets you the opportunity and the option to customize your website as you want. And last but not least, it's also fully integrated with all the other applications as events, as recruitment, as inventory, as sales, as invoicing. We have many, many different applications that can be integrated with the website. Now let's imagine that you don't work with Odoo. You don't have the license of Odoo, and now if you want to create one website, you have to use several applications or several software. It's a bit messy because you will lose a lot of time, you will do a lot of repetitive tasks, and the errors can come easier. Now, but we have the solution, is to do it with Odoo. With Odoo, okay, I just took the main application as the website one. All those applications are from Odoo. The first one is the blog. You can create blogs. You can write your blog from the back end and also from the front end. We have also the recruitment application. If you are looking for new colleagues, if you want to post your job application online, it's very easy. You can directly create them from Odoo. We have here the e-learning platform. That's a new feature in V13 that my colleague Benjamin explained you yesterday. You can publish all your course directly from the backend of Odoo and also from the website. We have the inventory application that is also linked. Why it's very important for us to have that? For example, you have a lot of products and you have the choice or to display the quantities available on the website or not. You have also the event. You can also organize events. You can sell your tickets through the internet. And we have also sales and invoicing. That's a little bit gather all those different things, because when you will buy product, after you will have an invoice. That's also sales, and the same for events. Let's now do a website. Okay, here there's a home page. It's totally blank. Okay. I chose the theme by default. That's the default theme. Here on the left side, you have all the different blocks that you can use. Let's start with the cover. Okay. Here, I don't know if you noticed, but in V12, this bar here, this column didn't exist. Before it was like a little square here, very tiny, and you had several lines, and it was very difficult to just distinguish which was a line of what were they used for. Here, you have everything on the left, it's clearer. Here, for example, you have a background image, you have a filter. I want to set this image like in white without any filter. I also want to change my background image. What I do, I go here, and I choose one background image. Let's say that I sell football jerseys and bicycles. Okay, we'll pick this one. Okay, that's. You don't have to take care about what I'm writing here. It's just to show you that we can write something, we can put in colors, we can put in bold, and so on, okay? Here I will put welcome everybody, okay. If I want to change the color of this, it's very easy. I go here and I put in red, pink, whatever. I can also change the size up, and I can put in bold, right? Here the same, I can write the text. Voilà. Okay. Now we're going to create a new one, a new text block, text with an image. Here I will change the background. I'll take this one. Okay. And I will take a picture here. Okay. Here you see that I can upload an image. I will do it. take this one. Okay. Here that's new also. This one is a little big. I can directly change the size and the name of the image now. Before I couldn't not do it, right? We can do it, but it was very painful. Now I can just say, okay, I will take this one, but more little. And the name here has also a big impact on the optimization, on the SEO platform. I can change the name. I will not change it, but okay, I can change it, optimize. Okay, here it's very little, but I can put it bigger, smaller, and so on. Here I can also write something. Okay, and here that's text. Okay. Voilà. Now, a new thing that I just wanted to share with you also, it's before, last year in version 12, if you wanted to search images or to go to navigate between images, you had like several pages. It was a little bit painful because you all the time had to click for going to the next page. Now that's better. With a new button, it's like load more. Like this, you can have more images. That's a new feature. Then there is also a new feature that we have, that's the link and show. What does this feature? It's on the same page. You can be redirected in another place on the page. For example, here I have all the different social media that I use, and I want to say, okay, when I click here, I want to be redirected on the bottom of the page. What I will do that. Okay. Where do you want to go? You want to go here, link and shore, and it's follow us. Okay. I save. After I come back here, and I do that. Hashtag, and I click on follow us. Save. Okay. Just wanted to show you. Okay, and I click here, I'm directly redirected here. Now a new thing that I will do it, I will create two new images with two call to action buttons. Okay, I want to have two columns, I click here, number of columns, 2, okay. As I sell bicycle, I will pick a picture of a bicycle and from football jerseys. Okay. Here, what I will do, and I will create two new buttons, the call to action, which means that when I will click on it, I will be directly redirected to the page that I wanted to go. Here and here. Okay, and here. Okay, no need. Then here, when I want to click here, I want to be redirected to the shop of my bicycle. Okay, what I do, I will take my website and I will go to the shop. It's not refreshed now. Okay, and here you see that's my e-shop. I want to go to all my bikes, then I will only pick the URL. Okay, I click here, and here it's simply as that, copy paste. Okay, and the same for this. You can also change the size of the button, big one, the style, bam, and I will put it in this color. Okay, like this. I will show you what does it does. Okay. you had to change the name of the button, and it's here, and it's properly working. We have also new features. We can have all the font of Google. What do I mean by font? I don't have internet here, but this already open here. We can change the font of the text. How do you do that? You go here, custom themes, font, and here you can change all the different fonts for the title, body, navbar, and the button. And here I will go to add a Google font. After I click here, I'm directly redirected to Google font of Google. I copy and paste the link, this one, and I paste it. Okay, now you see that that has changed. I can find it back here, and that's a new one. Also, a new features. Before, when you had a logo that is in your backend, you had only the possibility to have the same on the website. Now we have the possibility to have two different logos. Maybe it can happen, and you can directly change your logos from here, from the website. All you have to do, and you can also change the size. Before it was very painful, you had to go in the code and to change manually. You double click here, and here you can change your logo. I will take another one, pick this one, okay, and it changed directly. If you want to put your logo bigger or smaller, you can directly do it too. You go to customize, and you go to navbar. And here you have the possibility to change the size of your logo. I will put that 80. A new feature also regarding the translation. Of course, with Odoo you can translate any terms that you have on your website. The default language is English, and you want to do it, I don't know, you have to have another language, and we're gonna add the language. Don't know, something that I understand. Dutch, no, not Danish. This one, okay. It's loading, huh? Okay. Here you see that it's in Dutch because you have NL_BE. Of course, you can change it. That's the new features that you can directly change it from the version 13. How do you do that? You go here on the backend, go to settings, translation, languages, and directly here you see that all the languages that are active in my DB, and here I can change, and I will set Dutch. Okay, come back. And you see the real adjust change. Okay, we'll send it. If you want to translate some terms, you go to translate, and directly Odoo will tell you what has to be translated or not. Okay, everything that is in yellow you have to translate. Everything that is in green, it's already translated. Here you see that you have to translate almost everything. I will put it back in. Okay. With Odoo, since last year, we have also the possibility to create a multi-website from only one database. I will just explain you how to do it. I will not build two websites, but we have the possibility. Go to website, you go to configuration, you go to settings, and here you see that you have the here you have the multi-website application, the features. Then you activate it, and you can directly from here create several websites. Here, for example, you see that my website is my website, and I have created another one. Of course, those two websites has to have two different URL and two different domain name. Okay. Now let's go to the shop. Let's go to the e-commerce platform. I will just give you a quick introduction about the product and how you can create a product and publish it on the website. You can go through sales application, or you can go to inventory. You go to sales, for example, to find all your products. Go to products here. And here, for example, I will take the t-shirt one. Here the name of my product is t-shirts, but of course I created some variants. For example, I have a black t-shirt in different size, and those variants as different price. Here I said, okay, this t-shirt is orange and the size is L, and so on. Of course, for each variant you can put you can publish a picture, and you can also publish no video. Okay. I will show you. Then you go here to e-commerce, you decide on which website this product will be displayed, which categories. Here you have two categories. You have the clothes categories, and after t-shirt, that's the little category of the clothes. And here you say, okay, I want to show the inventory on my website and prevent sales if not enough stock. Okay, that means that when the people will go to this product and you will not have enough stock to sell it, you will not be able to buy this product. And of course, I can also put an accessory product that you will be able to buy at the end of the sales process. Here, that's new. You can also add some videos. You know, I will show you here. Then I go to my website. Here, I have this product. I have some different colors. The image changed. And also the product, the price also vary. Here you see that I cannot buy it because I don't have any stock of this product. It prevents me to buy. I will take one here. The black t-shirt, I have still 9 units available. If you click here, I don't have internet connection, but if you click here, normally there is automatically a video which is displayed, and you have to take this video from YouTube. Okay, I will buy this one. And directly, you have the suggested accessories which is proposed. You can add to cart. That's also new in V13. Before, when you wanted to buy an accessory product, the quantity here you could not change. For example, if I wanted to buy, last version, one t-shirt, I was obliged to only buy one ball. Here, I can buy as many balls as I want. Okay? I process the checkout. Here, that's all my information, the delivery information and the invoice information, the billing address and the shipping address. You can also adapt it at any time. Okay. I confirm. Here, my payment method is wire transfer. Okay. Okay. Here I didn't configure all the configuration for the bank account and so on, but here you will have all the information that you have to fill in order to proceed to the payment. Here you see that the customer will have this information. That's the sum up of his order. Then me in the backend, I can also find this order. Where I go to my sales application, and I will see the quotation. Sales. And here you can find the number 39. Here. And so on. And here you have all the information, the invoice address, the delivery address of your client, of your customer. Okay. A new very important feature here is the new mega menu. What is a mega menu? That's a new menu in the menu bar, but you will have different menus inside, which means that you can click on it to be redirected to the page what you want to go. Then, what I will do, I will create a new mega menu with all the different categories of my articles. Here, you go to page, edit pages, add mega menu item. All products. Here, I will put it here. Okay. Now appears here. I don't want to have 4 columns, I want to have 2. I click on it, and I have 2 different options. The first one is only columns without any image, but I want to have one images. Okay, I remove this one. Okay, here I can whatever I want. Okay, and here I will type bikes. And here I can change the image. I will take this one, for example. Okay. We can also change the background. Okay, it doesn't matter of the color, but you can also do it. Of course, here, as we did before for the call to action and so on, you can directly be redirected to the page when you want to go. For example, I will take one example. You want to go to all my bikes. Here, I pick the URL here, and I click here, and I do it here. The same for the other ones. Now I save. Okay, all my products. I click bikes, and I'm directly redirected here. We have also 2 new snippets. That's 2 new blocks that may be very interesting for your customers. We have the suggested product. Now we have the the new product search bar, which means that at any moment you can search a product at any page. I'll do it for you. In here, if you want to search bike, you just write your name bike, and you can find it directly. Okay. There is another option too. Those are the 2 most new blocks that we developed this year. This is the product recently viewed. Okay. You see here. I will put it here. Then your client will go through the web page and here, and he will see directly all the product that he recently viewed. And when you click on it, he will be directly redirected to the page of this product. But this kind of option can increase your sales. A new feature also this year, we got the tracking of all the visitors. What I mean with that, you go to website. Here, and we have a new menu here. That's the visitors and the views. Here on the views, you can see all the different page that has been visited by all the people. You can also group by pages. You said, okay, 22. This page has been viewed 22 times. This one 7, and so on. Okay. And here the visitors. You can group your visitors by country with the group by. Like this, you can see, okay, this page, this country is very present. Maybe I have to do like a commercial promotion targeted for this country. You can also group by pages. You can see, okay, this pages is all the time viewed, is all the time consulted. This is very important for all the statistics and all resume. You can also export all the data with Excel. Now I'm going to talk to you about the different integration that we have. You have your website. We have a very important integration with the recruitment app. Then you have all the different positions that are open here, and you can directly publish them on your website. I go here. You see that it's published, but I just wanted to you. Here you create your position, from where and so on, and you go from here and you go to website. That's the application, and here you see that you have all your different jobs which are online, and then it's all automatically redirected to your backend. If someone has applied for your position, you will receive his CV. You will receive all the information. The second one, it's of course the event. You have also here you have an event tab. I will create an event here. Introduction to mountain bike. Okay. Here, it's only you create it. After you tell, okay, you just say, okay, from which date to the other date. You can also put like a minimum attendees, and you can also here write and create some different tickets. You can have gold tickets, silver tickets, or for different prices. You can also set different prices and different dates for the tickets. Here it's not published on my website. I will go to website, and I will publish this event. Which means that when I go here to event, I have all the next event, the today, this week, and so on, and I can directly go here. I click on it. You can, the same as before, when you want to add pictures, videos, and so on, you go to the edit button and you can use all the same blocks as before. Here, the introduction has been clearly written, and you go to register. And here you can buy directly your tickets from the website. I will take 2. Okay, continue registration. And that's the same sale process at the end. You confirm. Okay, and you will see that in your sales application you will receive a new quotation. And here you see that these people, Mitchell Admin, has bought 2 different tickets. Just to end up with this, we have also the e-learning course. You can create your quiz, you can create your different course and so on in the backend, and also publish them in the website. Go to the website. I know that's not the topic of today, but I just wanted to tell you that everything is possible with Odoo regarding the e-learning and the integration with the website. Then you go to website, and here it's automatically set. You go to course, and you will have all the lists of the course and the quiz and so on that you did it in your backend. Okay. Then I will come back to my slide. Demonstration is over. I just wanted to a little recap of the new features of the version 13. Of course, the main feature for me is the mega menu image, mega menu plus image. You can use it for different ways. In my example, I just use it for the e-shop, for the e-commerce. It's attractive and it's very user friendly for the visitor. The new left panel, before when you wanted to edit an image, when you wanted to edit somewhere in the page, you had a very little square in order to change it. Here it's better. You have the link anchor to redirect your customer to the place where you want that he goes. You have the visitor trackings. Here you can group by countries, group by page, by moments, by continents, and so on. You have improve your image. Very important for the optimization. You can directly change the size. Before it was very painful to change the size. And last but not least, you have the different Google fonts that are now available on your website. As I told you, you have also many other things. You have the product search snippet. You have also the product recently viewed, and you can also have more than one logo on your website. One on your website and the other one in your backend in your documents. If you have some question about this talk and about those new features or about the website and so on, you can go see Sébastien Bull is now at the demo booth station, or you can just go here and see me after this talk. Thank you very much for your attendance. That are now available on your website. As I told you, you have also many other things. You have the product search snippet. You have also the product recently viewed, and you can also have more than one logo on your website. One on your website and the other one in your backend in your documents. If you have some question about this talk and about those new features or about the website and so on, you can go see Sébastien Bull is now at the demo booth station, or you can just go here and see me after this talk. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Attends. J'avais pas vu mon micro. C'est mieux.
Céline,
Yes.
encore attendre 2-3 minutes.
Ça va. Attends. J'avais pas vu mon micro. C'est mieux.
Céline,
Yes.
encore attendre 2-3 minutes.
Ça va. Hi everyone, so I hope you've enjoyed the Odoo experience so far. So my name is Céline Damata and I'm a functional consultant, and I'm here to present you a V12 feature which has been improved. So we will talk about the activities. Do you frequently feel overwhelmed by the amount of work you have? Do you sometimes procrastinate, or do you miss your deadlines, and what about your priorities? In fact, planning activities will really ease your work, and it's a perfect way to manage your time, manage your activities and your to-dos. Get reminded of what you have to do and who needs to do it, in fact. And you can also schedule your time, schedule and set up your email template, so we will see it just later. And really, Odoo activities will help you avoiding having plenty of to-do list on your desk. So we will check it later. Okay. Sorry. So we will first speak about the scheduled activities, then we will talk about the automated activities and the exception type activities. So let's begin with the scheduled activities. So it's really like a reminder. So this is a note that you make to yourself for every object in Odoo. Let's go in Odoo directly, so we will make a little demo. So here you have the sys tray, we call it the sys tray, and you can directly see the shortcuts to the views. And now this is new in version 13. This is available for all the applications. But let's start and begin with the opportunities. So I will first configure my activity types. I have just created a first call activity type. And as you can see, so the first call has a default user, which is me, and I have a default description. Here I choose to know the tips for the best call, and then I choose to trigger the next activity, which is the first email. So let's have a look at the first email activity. And here, again, I have another description telling me, okay, you have two mail templates, but send this one when this is a good lead, and send this one when this is a difficult lead. So let's go to the email templates, and we can in fact create from here an email template. And yeah, you can configure it and name it hello, for instance. You write your message, you save it, and then you have another email template here. So I will just delete it, and I have two here. And now I will create another activity type, which is second call. Yeah, I will let it like this, and I choose it after the first email call, first email. Trigger the next activity, and then second call. So, if you well understand, I will first have the first call, then an email, and then a second call. This is my flow. I want to do it like this when I have a lead. So we can test it now. So here is my pipeline. I have a quote here. I have an opportunity for a quote. And then I choose here to schedule an activity. So as I told you, the first one is first call. Here I have my description, and I schedule it for today. So here I have in my chatter the next activity I have to do, and also here from the history I have another opportunity to do. So today I have one to do for this opportunity with the quote. Okay, so now I will mark it as done because I had this call with my customer. Okay, no feedback here. And if I go to my chatter, I can see the next step is the first email as I have configured it. And I can choose directly, the email template is here. I can send it now, so I send it. Sorry. Okay. And mark it as done, and launch the next activity. So this is done, and today I have to do the second call. So here is the flow for my next activity. So this is an example for CRM, and so for an opportunity, but I can also do it for plenty of applications. So let's have a look at recruitment, for instance. And I want to schedule an activity because I meet someone in the corridor here. I meet John Smith. And it could be a great consultant at Odoo. So I create his application in Odoo, but I told him, okay, send me an email with your CV, and I don't want to forget to upload the CV on his application. So I will schedule a new activity to remind me to do it because I have so many things to do in my professional life that I don't want to miss something. So I will just choose the upload document activity. So I schedule it. And okay, so later in the day, John Smith sent me his CV. So I will upload the document. So you can see here directly upload document. And I will choose it. So Odoo experience, John Smith. And the CV is just right there in attachments. I can configure this activity here, so you can see activity type, and just to have a look at the configuration, you can see that the action to perform is upload documents. So that's why Odoo suggests me upload document when I created the activity. So that's all for schedule activities, but you can do it from any application. So let's have a look now at the new features for the schedule activities. So as I showed you, you can see it from everywhere. You can see it also in the sys tray, so for all the applications. You can now assign a default user in version 13 and a default description. And as you have seen, this is available now to have mail templates directly from an activity. So this is really convenient. So let's talk now about the automated activities. In fact, for automated activities, we want the system to be automated. So we want the system to tell us, okay, I think maybe you have to check this, or maybe you have to check that. So this is really automated in the system. Currently, you have automated activities in those applications, and there is a new one in version 13, which is Sign. So let's go directly in, and check it on the demonstration. So the first one I want to show you is about sales and purchase. So I will create a sale order. So first a quotation, create, for my customer here, and he wants bananas. Okay. So I want 100, for instance, quantity. Okay. So I save it, and I confirm. So now I have a sale order. As my bananas is a MTO product, so make to order product, normally the system has created a purchase order. So when I go to the purchase module, I have here a new quotation, a purchase order for food supplier, and you can see here the product bananas for 100 quantity. But imagine my customer wants to change the quantity, in fact. So what I will do, I will go back to my sale order. I just created because Azure Interior told me, okay, I don't want 100, but maybe 50 products. I save it. Okay, so I have a first message telling me I decreased the number of quantity, but on my purchase order, I have a message here which is automated telling me, okay, the number of quantities has been reduced, so you maybe have, you will need to have a look at it, so maybe you need to purchase only 50 products and not 100. So this is an example. I have plenty of other examples for automated activities, but let's have a look at another one for expenses. So my employee here, Jean-Michel, creates an expense. So I create an expense, parking for the audio experience. Okay, so this is an expense for 20 euros, doesn't matter. I save it, I create a report and submit it to my manager. The manager is Céline Dameta, as you can see here. So as the manager, I go back to my application as, and I can see I have an expense report now. I have to do it, and as you can see, I can see here, and I can see it back here and mark it as done. Okay, here I didn't approve it yet, but I can mark it as done because I approved my expense. So now let's have a look at the Sign application, because as I told you, this is the new one in version 13, so let's have a look at it. let's imagine I just want me to sign this document. So I just want me to sign the document. So I will send it to me, just like a reminder. Okay, and I have now a new request here for the document. I have to sign, and I can just sign it. Okay, this is done. Save it. This is done. I have two things to do, and as you can see it from the sys-tray. So this is really important because this is new in Odoo, in version 13. But this is done. I have my document signed. So this is really new in version 13. Okay. So now let's talk about the other activities. As I told you, there are 3 types of activities. So we talked about the scheduled, the automated, and there is also the exception types activities. And there are 2 of them. So the message will be like this. So this is, you can see exception here. And the example I will just show you in a demo. This is the best way to show it. So I will create a sale order with a product, which normally will create a purchase order because there is a reordering rule on this product. So I created just before the BlackBerry product here. And as you can see, there is a reordering rule. I can buy this product, but no supplier is applied to it. But I would like the system to create a purchase order, but without any supplier, the system can't create a purchase order. And that's what I will show you the behavior in Odoo. So we will create a new quotation for blackberries, 100 quantity, so I confirm it. I will just run the scheduler because I want the system to create a purchase order with the rules, the reordering rules. And as you can see now, there is no new purchase order, in fact, for this product because I didn't set any supplier on the product. But if I go to my product, blackberries, there is here an exception message telling me, okay, there is no vendor price, there is no, in fact, supplier on your product. So this is automated in Odoo. You have an exception type activity. So this is the first one. But you have another one. When you create a sale order and you reduce the quantities. So I will create a sale order for whatever product, bananas, okay, 10 quantities, save it, confirm. So the system directly creates a delivery. You can see here 10 units and no message is written. This is normal. Oh, sorry. Okay. But imagine now the customer called me and said, okay, sorry, but I don't want 10 units, but I only want 5 of quantity of bananas. So I save it, and now on this delivery order, you can see normally a message which has been created on this here, but I didn't configure it normally. Okay, so normally you can see a message here. And this is an exception type message like this one, in fact, because this is the same. So maybe you can increase the number of quantity and you have an exception type message just on the delivery order. So To conclude, as you have seen, you have different types of activities in Odoo. You have the scheduled one, the automated, and the exception one. This is really useful because it helps you in your day-to-day life, and it reduces the number of post-its and things you have to remind to yourself. This is not easy in personal life, but in professional life, you have so many things to do. Let Odoo help you to do it, and to do it maybe automatically, and you can concentrate on your core business with Odoo and the automated activities. So my call is finished. Okay, so if you have any question, or maybe we can talk about it later or now, okay?
Yeah, it's more like a usability comment. I think it's great that you implemented the exception feature, because in a perfect world, everything works perfectly, but very often you need to change a sales order and so on. But why is the exception message on the generated transactions? I would see more value added if in the pop-up we had the direct links, for instance, to the child transaction, or even on the sales order itself, an indication of all impacted transactions that we need to change when you have such change.
That's a good point. Maybe we can make a feedback to our team. I can understand it, but here, for instance, with the product, the messages on the product form and not on the purchase order because it has not been created. In my example, you would like the message to be on the sale order, for instance, because I created a sale order which normally has to create a purchase order, but no supplier has been assigned to the product. But in fact, it can be this message can be used not only for this sale order, but maybe for other needs, you know. So that's why it's on the product form. I think this is the way we see it, but it can be a feedback. But maybe we can make the feedback on both. Why not?
My example is more like in the inventory environment, so when we have pick, pack, ship generated after sales order, very often if there's a mistake or something that needs to be corrected, it's up to the logistics team to change it. But that means they need to change it in 3 different transactions. So, you know, if you don't change it in pick, pack, and ship, something goes wrong. So
I completely
that's a pain point.
Okay, I understand it. Maybe we can speak about it. This is a great feedback for our teams.
It's a great first step to the exception.
Okay, great.
Is it possible to create our own automated messages and exceptions?
Exception types activities are hard-coded, so you can't create it, but you can create automated activities with Studio, for instance, so you can create automated activities if you want. Okay, great. So thank you for your attention. I completely okay, I understand it. Maybe we can speak about it. This is a great feedback for our teams. Okay, great. Exception types activities are hard-coded, so you can't create it, but you can create automated activities with Studio, for instance, so you can create automated activities if you want. Okay, great. So thank you for your attention.
Voilà. Oh. Welcome to this session. My name is Nathalie Larivière, and I work for the company Universals, which is in one of the most important biotech in the Wallon region. And I'm here to explaining how we implemented Odoo in the biotechs and in Universals, and also knowing what was the history of this implementation, because it's really interesting to see that Universals was a startup 5 years ago, and now it's a SME, and I suppose that in some months we can name this company as a PME, and it's really interesting to know how Odoo has been implemented from the start of the company to now. So first, I want to introduce Universals, so you can have a vision of what we are doing in this company. So the Universal is developing virus and developing recombinant protein production platforms. I'm an IT person. I'm not a scientist person. So sometimes I cannot explain in details exactly what is it, but the most important thing is to know that the mission of Universals is to make biologics affordable and available for all. And the type of products we develop are there to have this goal. So first project we developed was the polio vaccine. The goal was to decrease the price of this vaccine, and so Universal developed a project who was after that increased by the fact that we have, I come back after the help of the, we have the help of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So they were very therefore to help us to grow, and this project was very interesting for them, because the goal of this foundation is to develop best solution in the world to help people, to help the health of people. And so it's what we have done with this project. And one of the goals also is to develop and to put in place small production unit everywhere in the world quickly to put in place this kind of business. So if you want to buy a vaccine from a big company in Europe or somewhere in US, the cost is really expensive, and sometimes the time of productions is very large. Universal proposed to put in place in the world small unit production to help the countries who want to have this vaccine with a very less price. And so we implement these small units, and we do it now in Nivelles. We built our laboratories following this concept. So all of our laboratories are done like a small units that we can move and change quickly, and we can transport them everywhere in the world if it's necessary. So what we have, it's the complete laboratory to develop vaccines, biosimilars, and we have different kind of level, BSL1, BSL2, BSL3, so it's different level of biosecurity risk, biologic risk, and we can also come with small of the type of labs like a quality control unit. So it's really interesting for small countries or countries who need to have an help for this type of solution. Okay, so the Odoo project, for this I'm more confident to talk about the Odoo project. So Universal was created in 2013, and at the beginning they use Odoo. So with the start of the company, they automatically implement the solution. And the solution was used for 4 modules: accounting, purchasing, sales, and human resources. And directly the different departments use these modules and start to put data in these modules, in these different modules. So the department was for accounting, finance, and an external fiduciary. It's interesting to know this because for a very, very small company, for a startup, often you have other companies who are there to help them to manage the administration, and an external fiduciary was very important to help us to increase the data inside the system. What process was used, the invoicing, the Belgium legal reports, and the reconciliation of financial data. Purchasing department, the purchasing modules was used by finance and logistics. It's a startup, so finance have all the process in his hand. We didn't have at this time a specific purchasing department. And so the process used for the purchasing was the order of products, the management of the suppliers, and the creation of quotation and purchase order for service and also for raw materials. We also used the sales module. It was a small use because at the beginning, like the startup was essentially based on the R&D processes. The sales were not the first goal, but they start to sell services as the beginning. So they put all the process on R&D, and they propose during this development to help other companies to improve their own processes. And at the end, the human resource module was implemented, so managed by the finance and by human resources. Human resource to head and manage the employee data, and finance to manage the expense and the timesheet for every employee. In 2017, I joined the company, and it was the moment where this company started to grow. And the first thing when I arrived in the company was to audit the ERP to be sure that the process they used was right and follow the best practice. So first we realized an audit to evaluate the daily use of Odoo by the different team members, to evaluate the flow of business processes, the quality of the data, and the support given by the integrator. The result of the audit showed multiple problems. The first was the poor quality of data. In fact, when you start to implement an Odoo version or another ERP, and you haven't real business rules to follow when it's the start, often people use the system, and what it happens that when you enter some products, for example, I can use the example with the products. You enter a product, you are 2 in the logistic in the warehouse. The one enter the product and the other recreate 1 month after the same product, but with a difference in the naming. And automatically it creates a duplicate, and this duplicate we can consider this as dirty data, because when you want to make a reporting about the use of data, it's impossible. You haven't the possibility to make the difference between the different items. An incorrigible joint chart of account was implemented, so it wasn't a complete false chart of accounts, but some codes wasn't the good one to use. So it was a problem to report to the legal for the legal report. It was a problem. For some process, too many steps was put in place. An example is that when they use an external fiduciary, at this moment it was important to send information from Odoo to this fiduciary. And this fiduciary received the information and treat them in his own system. And so it was difficult after that to have a correct match between the data treated by the fiduciary and the data inside the system, because it was necessary to extract this data and to send them. At one moment, sometimes they enter in the system, for example, for the reconciliation between invoices in purchase order, but it wasn't all the time. So the financial data somewhere wasn't correct. So we decide to improve the processes managed by Odoo in the system, and the processes we decided to improve were the finance process, invoicing and controlling, the purchasing process, we wanted to simplify the process, and integrate a new process, and I explain after how the inventory, and make a data cleaning. It was really important. And we decide, and I know that a lot of people ask, why have you did this? But we decide to externalize human resource and CRM. Why? Because we were a startup without not enough resource in the company, and we hadn't started the project to improve, and it was necessary to give quickly a very complete solution that, in this situation, I can change by myself for the different services. And human resource decide to take another application just to have also the possibility to communicate with the social secretary here in Belgium. And for the CRM, we took a solution that I was able to change quickly. The version of Odoo we had at this time was the version 8. And it wasn't easy to change something if you weren't a developer. And there was no studio in this version. So it's the reason why we decide this. And the goal may be in few years or maybe months, it depends the project, it's to reintegrate the CRM inside Odoo. So the migration project started in 2018, and the first goal was to consolidate the financial process. So we internalize the financial management. They stop to work with the fiduciary because as the company starts to grow, all other employees join the company and the financial team grows also. We update the Belgium chart of account and we improve the legal reporting. The other goal was to clean the data. We replace all products by well-formatted products. So all products were archived and we recreate new products with a complete cards well filled with new parameters that I explained just after. We clean the list of suppliers and we clean the list of open purchase order and we solve the problem of unreconciled invoice. So the fact that you work with an external fiduciary, if they don't use your system, it's not possible to have a complete reconciliation because sometimes they receive an invoice, they create the invoice and after that someone enters the invoice in our system, but it's not linked to the original purchase order. So now it's finished. When an invoice arrives in the system, it's automatically generated by the purchase order, or if it's an external invoice, users of a financial accountant can link this invoice with the purchase order. It was not done the previous use. We decided also to implement and integrate a new process from scratch, the inventory management. So it was a revolution because first the stock was managed as a self-service with Excel. So person who want to have some products for the laboratories, they enter in the stocks, they took what they wanted and they note it on an Excel sheet. Sometimes they miss to note it on an Excel sheet, but it was the idea. And at every week, logistician make a list and verify that the stock was okay. So imagine that the physical, the real work was always to check if the stock is okay. If they don't forget to note and to inform about the consumption they have done. The first goal was to prioritize the processes to be implemented during this migration project. So another module was the sales that we decided to put after the first migration. At the beginning it was included in the migration project, but at one moment it was very important to see that financial and inventory management was so important and take a lot of time that we decided to implement the sales, to improve the sales management after these two first modules. And one thing important also is to keep the control on implementation costs. One question arrived, it was, okay, why do you keep Odoo? Or maybe we can change and go in another ERP like SAP. It's the moment we decide to improve, but we can also change. Okay, but if we change and go to SAP, for example, I think that the budget is completely different. And with Odoo, a lot of things were there, and it was just an improvement of these things. And the add of new functionalities, but the budget was more easy to manage than to define and use a new ERP. So for the inventory management, we can consider this like a new business with new features and new improvement. The business exists in the company, but to put it in Odoo, it's a complete new business you integrate in your ERP. First thing we have done is the creation of the product categories. So the goal for the inventory manager, for the supply chain manager, was to identify the different families of products and decide how to manage them and how to categorize them. And we use the product categories to make this distinction, and it was really easy because with product categories you can add a lot of rules behind. So for example, you can define a specific financial valuation, you can define logistic routes, account properties and account stock properties. So you put all these parameters on the product categories and not on the product itself, and so you can have hundreds of products with exactly the same rules, and it's managed by the category. We create also generic products for the non-operational team. So the services and consumables generic product was used by support services. If I order a computer, for the moment it's a consumable for the IT. If the production team order a computer to put it on a specific production line, it's not a consumable because it needs to be in the stock to have the integration inside a BOM, a bill of material, for example. We also create different type of localization to identify the first different area, fridge, ambient. Also link this localization to a client, to a supplier, or to a project. And we start to evaluate the stock with the FIFO rules. And I can assure you that it's really difficult to understand the FIFO when you are not confident with this, because when you have a lot of products who move in the inventory, it's interesting to see how the system calculates the real cost of this product using these FIFO rules. So we encountered facilities and difficulties, and I want just to mention two. First, difficulty, the security. When you use Odoo, one of the easy things that you can create your data and values on the fly. It's really easy. But when you are in a company with people who are not aware of the impact of what they do, you create low-quality data. Sometimes I use the term dirty data, but it's really this, because some person can enter name with a lot of specific characters, and the system asks automatically, do you want to create this new value? And you can say, okay, yes, I want. And so you have people who create a lot of things, or sometimes they edit a unit of measure. They don't choose the unit of measure. They edit the unit of measure they see with the small icon at the right, and they change this unit of measure. When you evaluate your stock following the FIFO rules, the impact can be really, really dangerous. So we put in place a security to lock the access to these small features. And it's really difficult in Odoo to do that, because it's very technical and it's piece by piece that you need to lock. So it's one thing that it's difficult to manage. It's to manage the security. And the goal was also to be ready for a future integration of segregation of duty. Segregation of duty to say, okay, you can create a supplier, but you cannot add the bank account, or you cannot manage the price for this supplier. It's really difficult to do this in Odoo. But at contrario, you have a thing that it's really genial, we say it in French, but it's really, really fantastic. It's the Odoo Apps Store. You want a new features, you can search. If someone in the world has built a small apps for this, and you can find it with the Odoo App Store. And so it's really easy to increase this. And what the first things we put in place is the purchase order triple approbation. So it wasn't in the system, and our partner helped us to customize it, because we wanted to have some other small features, and it was really easy to do. New project. We have 2 new projects. They are now in place and running for the moment. It's the manufacturing project and the sales project. So after the end of the migration to a new version of Odoo with a studio, so it's really easy to customize quickly view and to add some features, we decided to start this project, the integration of the manufacturing. We built line of production for the small unit I explained in the beginning, and we need to manage work order, bill of material, manufacturing orders, and it's the project which is for the moment running in the company. And we also introduced the subcontracting process. The other process is the sales improvement, though if you remember, we put during the migration this project aside, and we decide now to develop it. First, it's to identify different types of sales, and secondly, it's to integrate the rental process. It's the 2 major things we want to implement in the sales management process. So now I'll give the end to my friend, Sébastien, please.
Thank you, Nathalie. Oh, sorry.
So my name is Sebastian. I'm working for Idealist Consulting, and I had the chance to start the work on Odoo with Nathalie on the migration. I started to work on the migration from version 8 to 11. The main thing I want to explain today is how Odoo fits very well with a growing company such as Universals. As you understand, it's always moving company with new projects, with new priorities, and using the modularity of Odoo allows us to really support the growing of the company. For example, this is a high picture of the modules that were used during the increasing, and we are almost here with the manufacturing process ongoing. What was very interesting with Universals, regarding the project management for the implementation of Odoo, we started for the migration with kind of waterfall old way of managing project. And what is very interesting here is when you use waterfall, it's like pushing a solution to the business, and sometimes with that kind of company, Universals, the business is not ready enough or and does not understand what we are doing. It's why we changed the way we are working now, and we are working with the Scrum methodology, which is a common one now. And we really see now it's not the implementation team that pushing solution. It's really the business that decides what he wants at the good moment. What is very important is always focusing on the most priorities features. And working with the Scrum methodology allows us as well to monitor how the system is used. We always are with the business guys, we see the problems and we can correct it very quickly. A good example of the business pulling the needs was the follow-up of manufacturing process. So we went with Odoo saying, okay, to manage your manufacturing, just use production order. So we've made lots of POC, proof of concept, and we're almost ready to push it to the production. But we, after a few discussions with the business, we see that they even don't know how they want to work. So we changed the way we work there, and we just started to give them just paper. Just write on paper what you are doing, and so you can give us information to have the details, what you need to track the production. So it's really the job is not only implementing a solution; it's really understanding the needs of the business, of the field. Oh, sorry. So this is your slide. I don't know if you want to. There still remains some question regarding the implementation of Odoo, and the first one, because we leave it in the moment in Universal, is it a good way to work with Odoo even if your processes are not defined on the field? And I think it is the good way, meaning that Odoo can help. It is not the solution, but it is a tool to help to really build the processes. And the key, well, the key point is the change management. It is a company that's coming from R&D way of working to production, manufacturing. That means a real change in the cultural way of thinking, and the cultural changes needed to move through that manufacturing process. And I cannot say the last point.
So, yes. So the last point was with the right partner, everything is possible. And it's not just just for you that I say this, but it's true, because before the partner we had as enough competencies to help us. And it was a pity when you ask something, when you ask a question, and when you send a small paper explaining what exactly you want, they automatically said, okay, we will develop something for you. And it wasn't the answer we wanted to to have. And with Sebastian and with Idealist Consulting, what is interesting is that they challenge us all the time. So when we ask a question, they said, okay, are you sure that you want to develop something? Look at this. This is possible if you use this, if you change your way of work, it's possible to do it. And after that, if it's not possible to do it like that in Odoo, okay, we will develop something. But it's always the last solution, not the first solution. And it's really important when you work in a company with very important things around the budget. You cannot spend a lot of budget to develop a lot of features. It's possible to change the solution and to change the way of work and not implementing a new solution. Okay, so have you questions?
Do you have to follow some regulation like happens in pharmaceutical companies? Like you have to validate that this user is capable of changing location status, let's say? Or?
Yeah. So for the moment, we are not. We are in the way to follow these rules, because for the moment we were in a R&D, in a development and research company, and now we start to implement production and to sell products, and we have now quality control on different steps of the production. But we are in the way to implement this in Odoo. So it's the goal to be GLP and GMP in the future, but not for the moment. For the moment, it's it's managed. We manage the project. We run the project to implement the manufacturers at the same time that the production department grow. It's done for the moment externally, but the goal is to join, to implement these processes inside Odoo. Yeah. It's a big challenge, I think. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.